Are you ready to paint a gourd or two? I think we'll start with a pear-shaped gourd today with warts. And then if you want to move on and do something stretched out, different color schemes, you'll have kind of the basics for how to do it after we do this pear-shaped gourd. I think it's nice to start with a pear shape because they're fairly simple to draw. I'm going to start by drawing a circle and then a smaller circle on top, almost like a snowman. And then starting at the top, I'm just gonna draw down and out to connect them. And it doesn't have to be perfect because gourds really come in all different shapes. They're rarely symmetrical, and so give yourself some space to make it your own way. The stem is up at the top and there's kind of a curve here, and then the stem comes out like that. Really does look like a pear. This gourd's gonna be yellow with the orange, kind of orange details. So the whole gourd gets painted yellow first. And I'm gonna try to not use too much water so that this doesn't get puddly and so it doesn't take forever to paint, but we'll see. It's a pretty bright yellow for my gourd. I have some growing in my garden right now that are very pale. They're almost white with slightly darker warts and highlights, and it's almost a greenish white. But then I also have these yellow and orange ones. They're just not ready to pick, otherwise I'd bring one in here while I was painting this. I'm looking at a photograph of it right now. Okay, so yellow at the back. I'm gonna make the right hand side darker. So this whole left side will stay lightish. I'm gonna start by mixing up some orange. It's gonna be yellow and a light orange to start, and then we'll add darker oranges to it as we go. So this is my yellow right now because my yellow in the pan is almost gone, and I don't like the color it has turned. So I'm putting some yellow in and a little bit of this light orange from my pan. Let's see. This color here. And I'm gonna make some stripes. They're kind of like the ribs of a pumpkin, but the gourd really is not ribbed. So the stripes are just kind of a visual guide. I mean, they really do have stripes on them, but also that's where the warts are, is mostly kind of clustered around the stripes. So I'm gonna make this outer edge a little darker, and same with this one. I'm also watching to see how much the paint is spreading, because where the paint spreads is where it's still pretty wet. And then I'm gonna start towards the top and follow the outside shape and make a stripe here. It's not showing up real well yet, but it's still pretty wet over there. So I'm making a stripe that follows the outside line and comes down towards the very center of the bottom. I'm gonna make one that just comes up a little bit and maybe connects here, but not all the way. Okay. And now I'm gonna add some warts with a slightly darker color. So I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna add this darker orangey red to it. And just a little bit of brown. And the warts are they're kind of scribbly. So I'm gonna just start ooh, that's too brown. I'm glad I started at the bottom, because the bottom is gonna be darker anyway. You know what? I think I'm gonna change my mind since this ended up getting dark. I'm gonna make the light coming from the right now, so this is light, and the left-hand side will be darker. So I'll add a little of this mess up color, which was brown and orange and a little red. Add it to this side. And keep the right-hand side lighter. Okay, so I need a brighter orange because that turned very brown very fast. So let's see how I can mix that up. Maybe I'll just try lightening that color with some light orange and some yellow. Let's see how that goes. Okay, I'm gonna try that. So I'm gonna scramble a little bit, which just means like the brush strokes are tiny. They're not, just kind of like, almost like if you were pretending to make someone's signature with some flair. The whole right side here, I want the warts to go outside of the edge of the gourd to show some dimension, some 3-dimension happening. They're kind of circular, but not always. So I'm making some kind of roundish shapes, but with some scrambling happening, if that makes sense. Okay. Okay, that side is still very wet. So I'm gonna add a little bit to this side now. Let's make this color a little bit darker because this side's gonna need darker to show up and it's in shadow. And this side, I just wanna add some dark colors kind of under these warts to make them look a little more 3-dimensional. So this orange color is fine, and I'm gonna add just the tiniest smidge of black to it. I like to wipe the black or darker colors, I like to wipe on the side. And then if it looks like I have too much in there, I have a chance to wipe it back out before I mix it in. I think that is pretty good. It's kind of a brown. Let's try it. So I'm gonna go on the kind of like a bottom left corner of each of these warts and just add a little bit of this darker color. Let's see how dark it is. need to be darker. I'm gonna do a little bit more black. So I'm just kind of bopping around to each one and kind of scribbling on the back side of it. Okay, now a little bit of green for the stem and for the bottom. I'm gonna do, I had green in here before. So let's do an emerald green, this really kind of dark, bright one, and a little bit of yellow. No, I think I'll use that. Let's use that first. I'll put that on the stem. And now let's darken it with just a little bit of brown and a little bit of black. It looks really black, but I think it's gonna be a good green. Okay, and then more on the stem. And now just some plain brown. This was kind of brownish before, so I'm gonna use this, but could just put some plain brown somewhere and get it a little bit wet. I'm gonna put that on the stem too. Just to fill in here and there with another color. It's looking too green to me. I'm going to use some of that brown over on this side too. Okay, now let's do a little shadow. Just water. Just one swoop